Hello guys and welcome back. And yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? Almost an entire month without a review. Sorry about that, guys. But anyway, do you guys remember during the summer when I did those reviews of Batman games that I really liked? Well, one of my fans asked me why I didn't review any of the other great Batman games. And the answer is simple. If you recall, I said I was reviewing what I had at the time. And at the time, I just couldn't get all the games that I want to talk about. But since then, I have managed to get my hands on a seriously underrated gem of an action game. The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Sega Genesis. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of you aren't familiar with this version of the game. It's probably because the Super Nintendo version had a better reputation. But looking back, it's sort of unfair that this one got pushed to the side, while the Super Nintendo version got all the popularity. But you know what? I'm here to give this game the attention it so rightfully deserves. And while I can say it isn't the greatest game I've ever played in my life, it's definitely one of the best Batman games, period. You wanna see why? Okay, let's go. The basic story of the game is that Mr. Freeze has a plan to freeze Gotham City, so he breaks into Arkham Asylum and frees the Joker, Two-Face, and the Mad Hatter so they can keep Batman and Robin preoccupied as he prepares to put Gotham on ice. And that's where the game begins. At the start of the game, you can choose to play as either Batman or Robin, but they both play the same, so there's no real difference between the two of them. It's also worth mentioning that unlike the Super Nintendo version, you can actually play as Robin and have your buddy join in to play along with you if you don't feel like playing alone. The gameplay is pure run and gun fun and the controls are great. Your main attack is throwing different types of projectiles like stars, batarangs, and bolos, which I highly recommend using if you want to get past wave after wave of enemies. And like in Contra, you can shoot in all 8 directions, which gives you an advantage over enemies that drop down or fly across the screen. But when you're shooting your targets, you will always stand still. Your other forms of attack are kicking and punching your enemies. When you do a double jump, you will do a jump kick, and if you time it just right, you can take out a bunch of bad guys at once. You can also punch your enemies, but you can only do this if you get close enough to attack them. There's also a few shoot 'em up stages later on in the game, which again are very fun, have tight controls, and looky here, even the Batwing makes an appearance. If you watch my previous Batman video, then you know how much I love the vehicle stages in Batman games. All I can say is that it's really damn good and just as challenging, so give it a try. The other stages have you flying around shooting enemies, which it's okay, but trust me, they've got nothing on the Batwing stages. Now, probably the best thing I can say about the game, aside from its great controls, combat, and awesome shoot 'em up stages, is the game's graphics and music. The game showed off some of the best graphics on the Genesis, and it still looks pretty impressive today. Batman is very well designed, and the same could be said about his enemies. But this game blows my mind with its beautiful graphics and 3-dimensional depth. There are so many awesome stages and boss fights that all look great. And you could probably argue that this game looks a little bit better than the Super Nintendo version. Now, the music for this game seems to have a mixed opinion with most gamers, as it falls into the category of you either love it or you hate it. Personally, I love the music for this game. Most people seem to hate it because it doesn't have the music from the TV series. That is unfortunate, but to be fair, the first Batman on NES didn't have the music from the movie it was based on. Instead, it went for something original, and it still manages to be some of the best 8-bit music on the NES. Again, that Stage 4 theme is criminally underrated and deserves some recognition. Anyway, while it doesn't have the Danny Elfman theme from the animated series, it still has some great tracks on here that, like Batman on NES, are underrated and should be appreciated. The music fits the game perfectly and gets me so pumped up and ready to bash some bad guys. The only gripe I can find with this game is that it can be insanely difficult and nearly inconceivable to beat. It doesn't look that difficult, but believe you me, this game is hard. Very hard. There's some parts where you get locked onto a section of the stage and you can't move until you've beaten everyone on screen. And sometimes you can be here for a very long time if you don't have a strong throwing weapon. A good example would be when I got to Wonderland and I had to fight the same enemies over and over again for about 4 minutes. But aside from that, this game is great fun, and don't let anything negative that anyone has told you keep you from this hidden gem of a Batman game. Again, I had fun playing this game, and I hope you had fun watching. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.